Like, this was the thing that I was thinking about with Jon Jones. Jon Jones said he needed 6 months to prepare for Aspinall if he's going to fight Aspinall. So they were trying to make a deal, and then he decided to retire. But it's 6 months because he's not training, like, at all. Like, he just doesn't train. Like, in between fights, just doesn't train. Yeah. To me, the real fight would have been Jon Jones versus Francis. That's the real fight. Clearly, I'm not responsible for making decisions because I would have made a lot of different decisions, and I would have like, Francis, let's talk, let's work this out. That guy's a star. Francis is the fucking scariest heavyweight of all time. Yeah, that's a star. You know, like, that guy as the heavyweight champion is so fucking marketable. He puts people into orbit. Yeah. You know, he flatlined Stipe. He flatlined Alistair. He flatlines people. He's fucking terrifying.
Joe Rogan breaks his silence on Jon Jones' retirement, calls it the end of an era. Joe Rogan has finally spoken out about Jon Jones' official retirement from the UFC, and his words are sparking intense debate across the MMA world. While Rogan didn't explicitly say that Jones is gone for good, he strongly hinted that this could mark the closing chapter of a legendary career in a recent discussion. Rogan reflected on how strange it feels to picture the heavyweight division without Jones in it. Still, he pointed out that MMA never slows down, and with Jones stepping aside, it's now Tom Aspinall's time to take center stage.
I go back and forth on what I think the greatest of all time means, but if you want to say, like, who dominated his division longer than anybody, who beat everybody that was ever any good in his division, and who never lost, that's Jon Jones. The only time you could say he had a controversial decision was the Dominic Reyes fight. That was Dominic Reyes was coming up, he was in his prime, it was a really good fight, a really close fight, but Jon won what I think was a split decision, and then he had a split decision with Thiago Santos. But the bottom line is Jon won all those fights. He wins the heavyweight title too. It's tough to argue he's not the greatest of all time. Aspinall's a freak. Even Francis, who's like the greatest, scariest power striker I've ever seen in the heavyweight division. No one's scarier than Francis. Francis does not move like Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall is significantly faster than every other heavyweight. But Jon has been used to fighting guys like Alexander Gustafsson, guys who are really fast at light heavyweight. So the speed is not going to be as much of an adjustment. He fought Lyoto Machida. Machida was a lightning bolt, man. And he caught Jon a bunch of times. But then there's the thing of getting caught by Lyoto Machida is not like getting caught by 255-pound Tom Aspinall.
Who's next big heavyweight star?
Tom Aspinall, the guy who just won the interim title. He's phenomenal. And he is, again, the next the next advancement of the evolution of the sport.
How so?
Well, because he can do everything. That guy's got elite jiu-jitsu. He's got elite takedowns. His striking is outstanding. Like, I've seen a lot of heavyweight, even Francis, who's like the greatest, scariest power striker I've ever seen in the heavyweight division. No one's scarier than Francis. Francis does not move like Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall is significantly faster than every other heavyweight. That's a real problem because he's a heavyweight and he's a big guy, a really big guy, but he moves so fast. And so his speed has always been like extraordinary compared to other heavyweights. Like, he just fucking moves in. It's all like fast, explosive movements. So he's got natural speed, but then he's also got a lot of training to execute quickly. So when he moves in, he closes the gap. You can see, like, he's fast for a big guy.
Right. I want to see it so bad.
Jon was shitting all over Aspinall, saying that
I think that's a bad way to go.
He was lucky that he blew his knee out with Curtis Blades because Curtis was teeing off
doing
on
well.
him. Unless Jon avoided him, unless Jon used his wrestling to avoid exchanges, you know what that's all about.
Correct. It's called the Shop Shutdown.
The Shop Shutdown.
I saw a 7-part series on
Cyborg.
it. Yes. The Stipe fight, which is just like, it's a weird thing.
Aspinall's an athlete, man. He's such a good athlete.
Freak athlete.
Very fast. Very fast for a heavyweight.
So fast.
Yeah, but we felt the same way about Cyril Gahn, though.
Yeah, but
Cyril Gahn doesn't have wrestling, doesn't have jiu-jitsu. Aspinall's like legit on the ground. Very legit on the ground.
So legit that his dad owned a jiu-jitsu gym. His dad's a black belt. He started doing jiu-jitsu at 2.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how Aspinall is past the first round, right? Because we've seen him. He looks so fast. He looks, you're like, nobody moves like him. He looks like a younger Kane.
Right.
But he just keeps knocking these guys out so quick. So I'm like, let me see him past the first round to see if he has that cardio as well.
Rogan applauds Jon Jones, but hints there might be more to the story. Joe Rogan gave Jon Jones his due, praising the legacy he's built over the years. But he also hinted there might be more behind this retirement than meets the eye, Rogan noted. If Jon really is stepping away, he's He's doing it while still on top, still holding the title, still undefeated for over a decade, and still considered the GOAT by many. That's exactly where the divide begins. The MMA community is split. Some see Jones' exit as a brilliant legacy-preserving move. Others believe he walked away to avoid the biggest test of his career, a showdown with Tom Aspinall at the peak of his power. And it's not just fans debating this. Fighters, coaches, and analysts are all weighing in, questioning whether this retirement is final, or just a pause until the right offer or opponent comes knocking.
And Jon had been telling us for quite some time, I already told the UFC my plans. I'm not sure why they haven't done anything with it. But it seems as though as he continued to try and hint at what his plans were, the UFC felt like their hand was forced and they had to put it out there. Because at this point, what are we waiting for? Now, Tom Aspinall is coming to Las Vegas this week. He will be there back end of the week. He was told that a decision would be made by International Fight Week. Why I think this is ludicrous that it all went down like this was, we had waited so long for the resolution to this issue. Could they have not done something in Las Vegas in front of all the fans before the press conference, after the press conference, before the weigh-ins, after the weigh-ins? In the middle of the card on Saturday, before the fight, after the fight, presenting Tom with the belt, saying, you are the man, this is the glamour division, you are the baddest man on the planet, you're the heavyweight champion, you've done it all right, everything we've asked of you. Why not do it like that? He's literally going to be there in a couple of days. Where every media member, every fan is going to be there. You do it like this? In a throwaway, midway through a press conference in Baku, Azerbaijan, in the middle of the night over there, when no one's paying attention, you do it like that? What is that?
Defend the belt against the top guy. You can't be the guy. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And that pissed a lot of people off.
See,
agree or disagree?
Yeah. So I agree with you. And here's the thing: like my whole entire career, I've always defended Jon. I've always defended Jon Jones, and I'm gonna say this: like, I truly believe he's one of the best to ever do it. I truly believe that. I've worked out in the same room as him. I've seen his eyes. I see how he moves. But then when I sit there and I've always wanted to do this on my channel, is basically dissect a person's career. Go to the very first time they got into the UFC and just go through the whole entire thing. And when you go through it, it's like Michael Wanzer, I love him to death. He is so honest and unbiased. And he was like, dude, like, how are you going to say Jon Jones is one of the greatest of all time when he's fucking failed a drug test?
Multiple times.
Like, listen to yourself right now. Like, you're lying to yourself. Stop lying to yourself. Like, he's like, you actually look stupid. Like, you and GSP and Khabib have never failed a drug test.
Yes.
Not fucking once.
Yes.
And you're sticking up for somebody who's clearly failed a drug test, right? Now, if you go, I know Shaquille O'Neal said, oh, he's one of the greatest. Shaq, let me sit you down and me run you through the whole entire career of all that stuff, right? And, you know, when you sit there and you peel back the onion and you start looking at that, it's like, you know, yeah, I always...
You didn't believe in that. That's not what you were about.
Yeah,
I didn't believe it. So how can someone who did that multiple times...
It's like approval. It's almost like if you're putting him in the same category as
then
you,
you're
it's
okay
like
with it.
you're approving and you're condoning what he did.
Tom Aspinall moves on. Focused on his own reign, Tom Aspinall isn't waiting around anymore. He's made it clear the Jon Jones chapter is closed. No more dream fights or hypothetical matchups. Aspinall is locked in on defending his title and building a legacy of his own. One grounded in action, dominance, and leaving no questions behind.
I honestly can see Jon's point of view. I get it. I get it. It's just about the title for me. I just want the title, that's it. Does nothing else really matters. So, yeah, I get it completely. Get his point of view. Get what everybody's saying. Completely understand. I just want to prove I'm the best. That's all. I mean, to be honest, I would have rather fought for it, of course. I did defend the interim though, which is a weird thing as well. Yeah, to be honest, I always saw myself as a champion anyway. I think the whole Jon Jones thing was a bit weird. I think everybody can see that was a bit of a strange situation. But luckily now that is in the past and we can move on, which is good.
Tell me how it happened. You know, your father has come out and said that you knew, but you didn't know exactly. And I think the way in which Dana White did it was surprising. I mean, it caught a lot of people off guard in the middle of the night in Azerbaijan. Is it, you know, announcing this type of retirement? Where were you? How did you find out? And what were those first moments like?
So I had been for a meal and like been out and stuff for the day. I was just getting a shower. It was just before midnight. And I started getting calls on my phone that they'd announced it, and I was like, what's this? Like, I knew that, obviously, I had an inkling that Jon Jones was going to retire and they're going to move forward and I'm going to be the champion. But as you said, I didn't expect it last weekend, and I didn't expect it to be in like Azerbaijan. All due respect to Azerbaijan and stuff, but I just didn't, it's just not really what I expected. So, like I said, I would have rather fought for it. I would rather take the title from the champion. But I honestly believe that I was already a champion in my own right anyway, so a little bit of a weird situation, but it's all in the past.
Do you feel like you were denied the memory, the experience of being crowned an undisputed champion, or at least at a press conference in Vegas? I mean, you were coming here a few days later. Were you kind of denied a little bit of the fanfare that should come along with becoming the heavyweight champion of the world?
You know what? I would have liked to fight for it. The other stuff, it's not really important to me. Like, in a year's time or whatever, people are just going to forget and I'm just going to be known as a champion anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But I've said it a million times, but I just like fighting people. That's what I really enjoy above everything else. Titles, money, like fame, all the rest of it. I just like the actual act of training for a fight, the build up to it, fighting people, putting your skills to the test. I love all that stuff. Like, I'm a proper MMA nerd. And the fact that I've not had a chance to do that, I'm just relieved that it's over and we can move forward.
Yeah, and I want to look forward. I feel like I need, you know, because we were just waiting for this for so long. So of course there are some loose ends to tie up. I want to ask you about some of this stuff with Jon. The part that I want to ask you about is going back to March, and that is when the UFC was in London. Or I'm sorry, in England. It was London. It was London. Yeah, it was. And you were there as a guest fighter, and then you met Hunter Campbell, and it seemed like it was a lot of positive. It seemed like that was a moment in this whole saga where, like, I think we're going to get this fight. You kind of said that the talks went well, but now that, you know, it's all resolved, what happened in London? What were your talks with Hunter Campbell then?
I mean, I believe that's the UFC's business, really. As far as, I just did everything that was asked of me, to be honest. What their business is with the other side is their business, and I don't really know what happened. I know that the UFC were pretty sure that it was going to happen.
Nah, man, Jon's retired. What are we talking about, guys? Jon, you guys don't follow Jon on social media?
I don't follow him on social media. He said that.
No, me too, actually. Me too, but the guy is living his best life. He's had a fantastic career, we all know. We know Jon's a religious man, so I want to say God bless him moving forward in what he does with his life and his career. And you know, we move on. We move on. I'm the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. I'm ready to take on all comers, get this division moving again. Us guys have been waiting around too long. You know, the contenders are getting sick of it. Everybody's getting sick of it. Even the fans are getting sick of this stuff. So Jon's retired, and it's time that we move on.
Retired Jon Jones. Just as he predicted, Tom Aspinall, over a year ago, I think, said, I will retire this man without even having to fight him. He's never going to fight me. And despite all the umming and ahhing and all the fucking pretending that he was going to actually ever get in the cage with Tom Aspinall, Jon Jones has done what we always knew he was going to do. He's tucked tail and ran. Imagine calling yourself a goat and yet behaving like such a dog. I mean, this is like back in the playground. Jon Jones has got a bike. Tom Aspinall's come over and goes, give us your bike now. What you have to do then is fight. You have to defend what your shit is and say, no, you're not going to take this. And do you know what Jon Jones did? You have it. I don't want to fight. You can have it. This is unbelievable. The greatest of all time. What a load of shit. I'm sorry. Never going to call that him the GOAT ever again. Because being the greatest of all time is not just about winning. And that's what Jon Jones doesn't understand. It's about how you conduct yourself throughout the whole of your career. Are you willing to fight the biggest challenges, the biggest tests, go in there and test yourself against everyone? And Jon Jones proved, without a shadow of a doubt, his biggest test, stepped up and he bottled it well and truly. Remember this clip from like over a year ago when Jon actually met Tom in person?
Respect, man. All the best. Respect. All the best. Do a quick picture. Sure. Yeah? Let's get it. A face off.
Okay. He wouldn't even face off with Tom Aspinall, let alone get in a cage with him. And after all of the fannying around and waiting for Jon Jones to man up and strap his balls on and defend his heavyweight title, because you've never really earned it. You beat a guy who wasn't even the champion. You beat Stipe. Oh my God, what a farce that fight was. That will go down as the most pointless, pathetic fight I can imagine in a world title.
The what if still lingers over the heavyweight division still. A cloud of uncertainty hangs over the heavyweight scene. What if Jon Jones isn't truly done? What if this is all part of a long game, a strategic pause, or a negotiation ploy? And what if the UFC eventually puts together a blockbuster offer to lure him back for one final showdown? At this point, it's all speculation. But one thing is clear, Joe Rogan's take has reignited a debate that's far from over.